As you can see, I have a lot of fragrances. This is not even most of them. Is this supposed to be a flex? Absolutely not. Please don't envy me. You don't want this much because you don't need this much. This is not real life. This is kind of a fantasy when you see fragrance reviewers with tons of fragrances. Now, is it fun? Yes. Most days. Some days it is completely overwhelming. Topic for another time. However, we do need to talk about the natural yield of a situation like this, of having more fragrances than I need to wear for myself or for my children or for my grandchildren, or even for reviewing purposes. What happens? Well, there's fragrances that you never ever see me talk about because I just don't put them into videos. I may not even wear them that much. I'll be honest, guys, there's several fragrances in this room that I have not even smelled yet. Still boxed. This is just the life. I'll get to them someday, but today's not that day. But what we are doing today is I'm going to share with you 8 fragrances that I have in my collection. I do enjoy most of them to varying degrees. For whatever reason, I have just never talked about them. And one of the 8 I've actually not smelled yet. I've been meaning to sniff it forever and ever, and for no good reason at all, I haven't sprayed it. So I figured I'll just give you my first impressions of that fragrance when we get to it. So let's dive right into it. When I first heard about the house of Milano Fragranze, saying that terribly, but you forgive me, this house, they are a sister house to Mosque Milano, who I truly love and have loved for a long time. The first few things I heard about this house was that they were kind of an easy house. They're kind of a more mainstream, almost close to the ground, more accessible niche house as an offshoot to Mosque Milano, which can be pretty artistic and off the wall and really interesting. So I got this bottle of Derby from FragBuy a couple months ago. I have worn it. I have enjoyed it, but it just never made it into a video. I actually haven't worn it more than once, so I'm going to remind myself of what this smells like. This is an interesting fragrance. It is, yes, kind of easygoing, easy to understand on the fresh green side of things, but there is something a little different here. It does have a certain depth to it. Now, this was perfumed by a perfumer named Dominique Molhausen, and I've smelled 1 or 2 of her other fragrances for other brands, and she has an approach. I can definitely detect kind of her signature in this fragrance. She's actually done some other stuff for Alexandria fragrances, and I can tell this is her work. There's this deeper kind of woody, ambery, almost something resinous as it dries down on the skin. It is green and fresh and citrusy, but it's kind of congealed together by these warmer, slightly sweeter elements. Might smell a little bit strange, but at the same time, again, easy to wear. I haven't decided if I love this yet, but I do like it a lot because it is simple, but with a little bit of interesting depth. So I'm going to get to know it better. This is kind of a summer night fragrance for me. That's Derby. Let me know if you've tried this one. This next fragrance I've had in the collection for months now. This is a cheapie, a relatively popular cheapie from the house, but definitely not the most popular from this house. From Tommy Bahama, we have Saint Kitts. And there is something a little special about this fragrance. When you first spray it on, you're going to be like, okay, I smell alcohol, I smell, fruits, it's fresh. I don't really know how to describe it, but there's something charming about this fragrance when it dries on the skin. Now, it starts drying down after like a half hour and honestly might be gone by 3 hours in. It's a very light scent. It is pleasant. It does serve a particular function, which is to make you just smell fresh, clean, and approachable. But it does have this kind of tropical, vacation, fruity feel to it. That's nice. It's just nice. It's a little bit beyond basic, just a little bit, but I don't love it. If I do end up doing a purge, which I'm planning on doing at some point soon, this probably will not make the cut, but would love to know what you think of Tommy Bahama Saint Kitts. If you want to try this for yourself, I'll link it down below along with everything else. Again, it's not expensive, so check it out if it sounds good. This is a special one. This is one I do like. I've worn it a couple times, just again haven't included it in anything for whatever reason. From indie house Fzotic, this is called 5 Squared. This fragrance is a little bit addictive. It's so different. The best way I can describe this is warm, spicy, crunchy white florals. That sounds weird, but yeah, it's like a jasmine or tuberose or something, like dipped into cinnamon, like large crystals of cinnamon, which is not really a thing. Cinnamon typically comes out as a powder or powder-like spice when it's ground. I just feel it's crunchy. There's something granular about this. So it is kind of sweet, spicy, warm, floral. There's something very confident and masculine about this fragrance, but it is perfectly unisex. It's different. I haven't smelled anything quite like it. It doesn't really change all that much on my skin. It does remain a little bit linear, but I like the scent profile. I like the personality. It is unique, so I don't mind smelling it as it is for most of the day, and it does tend to last. Not too bad on my skin. That is 5 squared. That is from Fzotic, from perfumer Bruno Fazzolari. So this next fragrance I have smelled, I have sprayed, but I have not actually given it a full wearing on my skin. But this is a house that I do appreciate and respect, an Italian brand known as Pantheon Roma. They call this fragrance Raffaello Extrait. It is a flanker to one of their popular fragrances, Raffaello, which I do have. I do enjoy. I have talked about it from time to time. A very different fragrance, very interesting. Recommend sampling that if you can. And this doesn't exactly remind me of the original. It is interesting though. I do get this Middle Eastern warm ambery woodiness. There's something heavy about it. There's something kind of sweet and ambery. I don't remember what's in here, but I do get that type of vibe here. But it does not remind me of the original Raffaello really at all. But I can't really speak too heavily about that because I have yet to wear it on my skin. So I got to take my own advice and give my full impressions after actually wearing a fragrance. So I mess up too, guys. Anyway, let me know if you happen to try this one. No one's really talking about it. That's Raffaello Extrait. This next fragrance is one that not everyone's gonna appreciate for several reasons. Number one, the bottle alone is weird. I don't love this bottle design. This is from the house of Salvador Dali. They call this Dali pour Homme with these kissy lips. It's just I mean, I guess it's in line with Salvador Dali and his art, so can't be mad at that. But the scent, very special, but definitely a little bit divisive. This is on kind of the old school, late 1980s vibe in terms of a fougere. There is this animalic, musky mossiness to this kind of fresh, soapy, clean scent, but it is a little bit edgy. This is going to be more for the mature guys. As they say, putting hair on your chest type of scent. This is that vibe. This is not an easy recommendation unless you're really looking for something that smells old school and mature. I do appreciate scents like this. This is a little bit too far back leaning for me, just leaning a little bit too far into the past for me to really enjoy it and feel confident wearing it, but I can definitely appreciate it. Once again, if I do end up doing a purge, this may not make the cut. We will see. Salvador Dali pour Homme. Up next, from the designer house of Tumi, known for their world-class luggage, which I can say is really good, and one day I plan on owning a bunch of it because it's awesome luggage. This is called Continuum. I can't say I love the fragrances from this house. Nothing has truly wowed me from them yet. This is kind of a warm, almost like tobacco fragrance from what I remember. Yeah, it's kind of this warm, earthy tobacco, mildly sweet, definitely more fall winter vibes. Ultimately nothing super different. May remind you of some other fragrances you've tried, maybe some leather in there too. Soft though. It's really good cool weather vibes, just warm and inviting, easygoing. I'm gonna hold on to this. I'm gonna give this some more wear as it cools down into the fall time. Let me know if you dig this one, Continuum from Tumi. The only reason I can think of that I haven't talked about this fragrance is that I was kind of a spoiled brat. I'll just be honest with you. I was a little bit of a spoiled brat. I had to check myself. This is from the house of Ormonde Jayne. They call this Isfarkand Elixir. They offered to send me some fragrances of my choosing. I believe I chose Ormonde Elixir as one of them, and a mistake was made somewhere along the way. They ended up sending me this one. I really wanted Ormonde Man Elixir. I think I threw a little pity party and I kind of let that affect my perception of this fragrance. But again, I checked myself and realized, you know what, Justin, look how many fragrances you have. Stop crying. This is a great smelling scent. It is not my favorite from the house. I can say that. I do like the original Isfarkand. That one is beautiful. For some reason, the Elixir is so elusive to the point where I can't really smell it. Even I first spray it on, I kind of let it waft in the air and I'm like, I get a little bit of lime, but beyond that, I don't really smell it. It is fresh and limey and musky, maybe woody, but beyond that, it is very elusive. I don't understand it. I'd love to know if you have a similar experience with this one. I just can't really smell it, so I can't really talk about it. Maybe my nose is broken. Again, if you can smell this one clear as day, I'd love to know. But for now, I'm gonna keep trying it. I'm gonna wear it on my body a few more times, see if I can't pick up on it. I still haven't worn it out in the heat. Maybe that'll bring it to life. I'll give it a shot and report back. Ormonde Jayne Isfarkand Elixir. And the final fragrance, this is the one that I have had in my collection and I've never sprayed it. I've never sprayed this fragrance. I do believe I've smelled it, courtesy of my friend Ross, TLTG Reviews. I think he sent it to me for a joint live stream that we did and I gave my first impressions. I think. So I don't remember exactly what it smells like. I think I do remember liking it, but it's silly that I've not sprayed Red Colorado from Micallef yet. I've just been looking at this pretty bottle. It's been unboxed, just sitting out, ready to be sprayed, but I think I just got it a little bit late into the spring. Summer started to roll in, the heat started to come in. I just never gave it a spray because I knew I would never really wear it, because I do know that it's not supposed to be a warm weather fragrance, but I'm gonna spray this. Look, I just gave the first spray, nothing came out. Oh, yeah. I do like that. Green and leathery. This is like pine or fir, just a lot of green tree, like coniferous, foresty, manly, woody tree with like this kind of dusty leather. That's interesting. Very masculine, very visualizing. I can see this landscape of like being out on a ranch near a forest, dust in the air, big trees in the distance, leather saddle. That's the vibe. I look forward to getting to know this better. Shame on me. Anyway, that is Micallef Red Colorado. Let me know if you've checked this one out yourself. Well, that's just my honest reviews on a couple handfuls of fragrances I have never featured. Now I featured them, so I can't say that about these. Maybe I'll try to do this again if you guys want to see it. I have other fragrances I've never talked about, and I have others that I've never smelled. So this is a good excuse for me to actually start spraying stuff that has been left unsprayed. So once again, if you want to try anything I talked about, if anything sounded interesting to you, it will be linked in the description. I want to know what you think down in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.